that doesn't mean we're just taking on $20 million more into the salary cap and then we're done. That means that we can also go potentially move a guy like a Jeremy Grant and replace his salary with a guy like Jalen Brunson. We might not know what his ceiling is right now, and that is a fair argument. However, if there's a guy that we don't even know how high he can go, and he's 25 years old, and he's combined for 72 points over two playoff games, I'd take the damn swing. What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Tuesday, April 26th. I am your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Jeff Iafrady. Jeff, we got a great week of content this week, dude. It's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you, Sean. I mean, we gotta address a couple things, but we'll get to it.
We got some to address, my friend. We got. I think this might be like you and I, like generally speaking, basketball wise, we see eye to eye in a lot of things. We look at the game in a very similar way. However, Jeff, this is our first major disagreement, and that disagreement that we are here to talk about today is Jalen Brunson and whether or not the Detroit Pistons should pursue him in the offseason. Now, according to reports, including from our own James Edwards III, who, by the way, tomorrow is going to be on the podcast, so perfect timing. Mm-hmm. According to James Edwards III, the Pistons have interest in Jalen Brunson, and also Tim Legler wrote today that part of the reason why is because of the fit that they see with him in the lineup and with what he's doing with Luka Doncic right now. So with that, Jeff, why are you opposed to the Pistons signing Jalen Brunson?
All right, I'm a little scared, and I'll tell you why.
All right, tell me why.
A part of me looks at this free agency class and questions myself, saying this. I say, is it top heavy? All right, that's the issue I have. Is I love the free agents that are available this year, and I get it. People want your team to spend money. Pistons fans are ready to be competitive again. It makes sense, but you got to just have a, just deep breath and look at the player you're acquiring. And with Jalen Brunson, I like him. I don't question the fit. I really don't. And if the price is right, maybe we can discuss something. But for what I'm hearing, and I read the ESPN article, I believe Anthony sent me actually today, talking about Jalen Brunson and his father and what he's probably going to command. Dallas Mavericks disrespected him, and rightfully so. He should go out and get the bag. Got to love it. Support him. But what I feel comfortable giving Jalen Brunson, $25 million, because people say 20, but I'm thinking it's going to be closer to probably 25 because how well he's playing in the playoffs, he's going to command more money. And not only that, the Pistons have $25.5 million in cap space this season, and that's just basic. I mean, you don't know what moves they're going to do. They could create more, but just rip $25.5 million. Giving a majority of that to Jalen Brunson, and I don't want to hear that. And I got to say this too. I don't want to hear the Red Fan Fleet comparisons, because listen, Red Fan Fleet got 4 years, 85 in 2020, and it's worked out. All right, great player, undrafted. Shout out to Red Van Fleet, but
worked out
with Jalen Brunson. With Jalen Brunson, he's going to jump the market. This is how contracts work. Guys get paid more than the last guy. This isn't like you're going to still pay. I mean, if you can get Jalen Brunson for 4 for 80, maybe we can. You know what? I'm not too far from that, but for any more than that, once you're reaching closer to 100 million, like even that, man, I just question it. And maybe it is partially we've spent this time, and Troy, we've spent this time getting rid of cap space, and guys are finally coming off the books. I don't want to go chuck it at Jalen Brunson, because let me just name. I mean, I got next year's free agents, and I get it. It's also top heavy. A lot of superstars that probably aren't coming to the Pistons, but let me just name a couple guys maybe you'd be interested in. Bradley Beal. All right, D'Angelo Russell, Miles Turner, Karis LeVert, Christian Wood, and Kevin Love. And I'm not saying that any of those guys are going to sign, but I'm just saying.
And you named 6 guys I don't want.
Okay. Let me say this too. So you'd prefer Jalen Brunson out of any of these guys?
I mean, okay, obviously Bradley Beal's a better player, but I don't want Bradley Beal on the Pistons. First of all, he's going to sign a supermax. He's not going to be on the table. But here's my argument, okay? So Jalen Brunson, I understand the hesitancy. Let's start with that, because I don't know about wanting to go and spend all my money this offseason either. I will admit that. However, is that because of the basketball player that we're getting in return, or is that just because of what we've seen in the past? because I think oftentimes we're just looking too much at what happened with Charlie Villanueva, what happened with Ben Gordon, what happened in the past, and this is a different front office. Now, here's what Troy Weaver sees, and here's what I see. He sees a guy that can go out and go get his own bucket, but also help guys get buckets themselves. He sees a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hands, that can shoot the three efficiently, that can score inside the two efficiently, can catch and shoot, can dribble, can create, can score at all three different levels. He sees a guy that gets over 22% of the Mavericks steals. He sees a guy that is able, despite being 6'1", going out in a lineup that Dallas has been one of the top 5 defenses in the NBA, and is still able to make an impact and make a difference. I think Jalen Brunson, coming in at 25 years old, would be able to come into this Pistons core and help be part of the Pistons' future. I don't think this is a cashing in, all in move, because I just don't think that if it is, I don't think it's Jalen Brunson. I think that would be more of a prominent name. I think this is a guy that you hope can be around Cade going forward. Now, I have a hard time seeing Dallas looking at what Jalen Brunson's doing right now and letting him walk, because, man, this guy's taken over in the playoffs. But here's the thing, man. We talked about this on the Pistons on Pistons Table Talk last week, which, by the way, is going to be on Woodward Pistons going forward. Subscribe to Woodward Pistons. And everyone was like, oh, this just gives me the Ben Gordon vibes. And everyone's laughing at me, saying how ridiculous this is. How, for me, can this guy not play? Have I not watched the same guy that you guys have seen? What am I missing?
Sean, I'm a big resume guy. All right, I'm a big resume. I'm a big resume guy. Jalen Brunson's resume is a great season this year, and I love it.
And
I
he's
love
gotten
watching
better and better every year.
Yes, through 3 years, he's gotten increasingly better. We don't know his ceiling. Like, if you're gonna pay, and what's your price tag? Give me a price tag that you're comfortable paying Jalen Brunson, and then we'll take it from there.
I think all right. So first of all, right now, according to Bobby Marks, he's playing over $30 million his value on his contract. So
I saw
he's playing
that.
$30 million more than his current contract value. I think anywhere from $20 to $25 million is not a ridiculous ask. And I think here's the other question that we have to ask ourselves as Pistons fans, because I understand being timid of spending the money. And I understand, like, a lot of Pistons fans are, well, we need to go get a big. That doesn't change that we can still go get a big. On top of that, just because he's 20-something million dollars in cap space, you brought this up before too, Jeff, that doesn't mean we're just taking on $20 million more into the salary cap and then we're done. That means that we can also go potentially move a guy like a Jeremy Grant and replace his salary with a guy like Jalen Brunson. We might not know what his ceiling is right now, and that is a fair argument. However, if there's a guy that we don't even know how high he can go, and he's 25 years old, and he's combined for 72 points over 2 playoff games, I'd take the damn swing.
And listen, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but I feel like I kind of know where he can go. Like, listen, what do you think he can do? You think he's a 25 a point game guy, or is he going to stay around 18 to 20? Maybe that's.
I think he can be a solid 19, 20 a game guy that can get you a couple steals. And listen, that's what Detroit needs. We don't need him to go out and be
no. I'm just
basis.
Typically, what do you see him?
But I do think he can be a 16 to 20 point a night guy going forward, and I think he can continue to be a 50% from the field guy. Like, he's reliable, he's consistent, he's efficient, he plays both ends. There's a lot to like about him, man.
No, there is. I mean, I don't hate the guy. I want to get that clear.
No. I'm not saying that you hate the guy, but it's like,
but the price tag is shying me away. And the only argument I'll accept is the Jeremy Grant thing, is which Rod brought it up as well. Swapping those salaries. Which, listen, that does make sense. You draft Jabari Smith. Hopefully you don't slide down. But my question to you would also be, before I get to this poll, actually, because I did post a poll on my Twitter for Pistons fans, and it's got 50 votes almost already, and it's split. But before I do that, with this team and how it's constructed, all right, and you want Jalen Brunson, what if they do slip in the lottery? What if they fall to 5 or 6, and then maybe they get a Shaden Sharp, or maybe they get in a Jaden Ivey? What does that mean for Jalen Brunson? That would be
that's a different conversation, because at that point the fit's not as cut and clear.
So the lottery is probably the biggest thing here, is determining where they land.
Oh yeah, well I still think the lottery does play a big role, because then at that point that says what kind of team you can construct. That
Right.
gives you a plan of where you want to go, because if you're getting another dynamic power forward or wing, then is that not kind of a redundancy with Jeremy Grant? Is if we go get another guard in this summer's draft, then obviously that's going to be the guy I want to be alongside Cade Cunningham, and the conversation cut and dry. Now, if Detroit lands in that top 5, I think it allows them to go and get them. And I still think regardless, they can go make a move for him if they want to. I don't think that necessarily stops them from doing so. But if there is anything that we have seen from the Detroit Pistons this past season, if we were to look at our 2 biggest needs, and you can, and both are important. It's not one or two. It's both are equally important. We need guys who can make their own shots, who can create their own offense. And we need an interior presence. We need another big. That's just where we're at. We need a better rim protector, I would say. And I don't think both are I don't think one's more important than the other. I don't think one is more I think one might be more expensive than the other, and that's going to be this Jalen Brunson type guy. It's going to be guys who can go and create their own bucket. It just is. Right. And in the fit with Luka and Cade is seamless. It really is.
Yeah, and that's my hesitation really when it comes down to it is I think King mentioned this on last week's stream. I like big guards. Like Jalen Brunson's going to come in and be my 2 guard, and he's what is he, 6'1", maybe, pushing it. He is a scrapper on defense. I'll give you that. He's physical, but for his size, like I see Cade, and you have a 6'7", 6'6" point guard, and if you're going to take advantage of other teams, I feel like having Jalen Brunson kind of, at least he's, from what I've seen on defense, he has been solid, but it just kind of negates that. Like you have an advantage at 6'7" at your point guard, and I just like size. I like my shoot guard to be 6'5". Like I love Hamidou Diallo. He just can't get his crap together really, but I love Hamidou Diallo. So really, that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's a little bit of hesitation, but I did post the poll on Twitter, and right now it's at 50 votes. So right now I said, Pistons fans, am I wrong for not wanting Jalen Brunson and his services for about $25 million over 4 years? I want to see what everyone's feeling. And 42% said I'd pay Jalen Brunson $20 to $25 million. And then 57 said hell no. So it's split. It really, like, it's not really leaning. I mean, yeah, it's a little towards hell no, but still 42 for I'd pay him. So listen, it's close, man. It really is. I don't think anybody's really wrong. It just depends on the price tag. Like I said 20 to 25 million, but who knows? Like he could go closer to 30. And then at that point, I think even you would agree, like, I mean, maybe you don't, but I'd be like, I'll pass.
Yeah, once it gets towards the $30 million a year mark, obviously at that point, that's when I start getting a little more hesitant.
Because I heard the Knicks also are interested. Like there could be a bidding war legit for Jalen Brunson.
Oh yeah,
because at this point.
Well, and here's the thing: just because Detroit has interest doesn't mean they're going to sign the guy either.
Right.
Like that's the other thing Pistons fans need to consider. Like, of course they're going to have interest in one of the best free agents that are coming out for a direct positional need for a guy who plays with a guy who's just like Cade. Of course they're going to have interest in him. Right. Who wouldn't? That would be dumb.
And he's really one of the only great unrestricted free agents that you can legitimately go get. So it's not like DeAndre Ayton. I mean, he's restricted. So with Jalen Brunson, you have that opportunity. It really is. And that's why I'm not stressing. I mean, at this point, I think I'm just more excited to get to the lottery to kind of figure this out.
Well, and another argument I would make is that I think Jalen Brunson fits the timeline of this team better than Jeremy Grant does. Jalen Brunson's younger.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson's game, I think, lasts longer. Because like once Jeremy's speed starts going down a little bit, once his defensive effectiveness goes down even slightly, that loses a lot of value. That just does. That's just the way it is. So to me, like I just think Jalen Brunson, if we're looking at the overarching, like trajectory of this team, I think he fits just where we're going, where we're heading. And I think the other truth is like at some point, you're going to have to make a move that has some inherent risk in it. And what we've seen from this past year with Cade Cunningham, I would argue, I think the timeline looks a little different than it did, say, back in October. Does it not?
Yes, because of how Cade Cunningham has came along and developed. But a part of me doesn't want them to, because Troy Weaver said it at the press conference, they want to be aggressive, but they don't want to over jump. Speed this thing up too quickly.
Yeah.
and you don't want to get yourself back in a situation. So it's a draw between both situations. It really is.
Yeah, 100%. And at this point, the only question to ask is, what do you think? Do you think the Pistons should sign Jalen Brunson? Let us know in the comments section down below. But that is going to do it for today for us, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to follow my guy, Jeff Iafrady, at Twitter, at Jeff Iafrady. Be sure to follow myself at Sean Halfcourt, and also follow From Half Court at FHC Pod. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.